This video is going to be about how we can write decimals. Just like with regular whole number place value, we will be using the three forms you've seen in previous videos. Our first form is standard form. If I were to tell you the number 2 and 5/10, I want you to try writing that on your student side. 2 and 5/10. Now I'm going to show you how that would look. 2 and 5/10, because in our last video we talked about the decimal represented and when we talk, and the first place after the decimal is the tenths place. So that would be how you would write 2 and 5/10 in standard form. Standard form is our normal way to write numbers. Let's try another one on the student side. 2 and 56/100. You should be trying to write this down on the student side. 2 and 56/100. Now I'm going to show you 2 and 56/100 because it's two places after the decimal. Let's try another one. 4 and 568/1000. Trying this on the student side. 4 and 568/1000. You should be writing 4 and 568/1000. Remember in the last video I told you you read the whole number and then whatever place it ends in is what you call it. So that is your standard form. Just review from your regular whole number place value. We have standard form when we're writing decimals as well. Our next form is word form. So we're going to practice trying to write some decimals with word form. Same thing in the last ones. When I say and when you write it in word form, it's the actual word, but in standard form it's a decimal. So if I told you to take this number and write it in word form, I want you to try that on your student side. You can pause the video if you want to as well. I'm going to go ahead and go on. You would write down 3, decimal represents and. I see the number 4, and what place is that 4 in? It's in the tenths place, so this is how I would write it in word form. 3 and 4/10. Same way I say it. Try this next one. Go ahead and pause me and practice this. Now that you've tried doing this, I'm going to go ahead and show you what it would look like. 43 is our whole number. I see the decimal, so that would be and. I'll look at the entire number behind it. It's 208. So I'm going to go ahead and write 208. And then what place does this whole number finish up at? The thousand. So that is word form. One thing you need to remember when you are writing decimals is the 0 is super important, just like in whole numbers, for holding place. If I forget to put that 0 in there, it totally changes the value of this number. It would be 43 and 28/100 instead of 43 and 208/1000. Very important to think of 0 as that placeholder, just like in your whole numbers. And the last form for decimals is our expanded form. If we had this number, we would say it 1 and 369/1000. So to do this in expanded form, I do it piece by piece. The 1 is just one whole. It has an imaginary decimal behind it, doesn't it? The next one would be 3/10. Now look at the next place. What do you notice has happened? I have to put that 0 to hold the place. So there's my one whole that I had. I had 3/10. I had 6/100. If I put the 6 over there, it would have changed it to 6/10. That's 600ths. And then my last place would be 9,000ths. Remember about the 0. Holds the place, otherwise if I stuck the 9 there, it would have been 900,000ths, depending on if I'd put my zeros in, or it would have been 9/10ths. So we're going to look at the next page, and we're going to go ahead and practice some expanded forms. So I'm going to give you some numbers. 2 and 3500ths. I want you to practice on your student side, see if you can figure out how to write it. Go ahead and pause me while you're working on it. I'm going to go ahead and now do it. You've got 2 wholes plus 3/10. You've got to use that decimal, otherwise it totally changes it. And now I'm just going to put a 0 in that place and add my 500ths. Got to keep the decimals in there, and you've got to put the 0 as a placeholder. Okay, let's try another one. Go ahead and pause me and practice it. Now that you practice it, let's see if you were correct. So you have 3 plus, there's the decimal, 7/10 plus, there would be a 0 there, 200ths plus, put zeros in those places, 3,000ths. So that's how you expand the decimal out. On whole numbers, we expand out to our left, but decimals we expand out to the right. Now here's a tricky one. Let's try this right here. Okay, I want you to just try it on the student side, and then we will come together and practice it. Just pause me. Okay, now that you have tried it, thinking just in whole numbers, I know I would say 50 plus 1, that gets my whole numbers out of the way, plus, I have nothing in the tens place, so I'm going to go ahead and put plus 0.0. Now my hundredths place would be 0.02, which is 200ths, plus 0.005, which would be 5,000ths. So we still have to take care of our whole number expansion, and then we expand our decimals this way too. If you did it up and down, you would be able to see this a little bit better. So I'm going to do this. I want you to do this with me on the teacher side. We'll do expanded notation vertically. So we have 50, 1, 0/10ths, 200ths, and 5,000ths. And a way to check yourself is to add those together. Well, 50 plus 1 is my whole number. So there's 51. Drop my little decimal down. No tenths, 200ths, and 5,000ths. You'll have a lot of practice with all 3 of these forms, especially this expanded form in class. So